Good morning, and welcome to the Sunday morning worship service of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church in Naperville, Illinois. I am Ann Ariano, a member of your Board of Trustees. We are glad you are here, whether you're present in the sanctuary this morning or watching remotely. It is so good to be together. We welcome you to our church and invite you to get to know us better during and after the service. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold that there are many paths to truth and meaning, and we support one another on our spiritual and religious journeys while holding ourselves in covenant through our shared 7 principles. The mission of DuPage UU Church is to gather as an inclusive community to grow in character, mind, and spirit, and to transform the world toward fairness, love, and compassion. Whoever you are, wherever you are on life's journey, wherever you are in the world, you are welcome here. We have a couple of extra announcements. This year's UUA Mid-America Region and General Assembly events are coming soon. We'd love to have you participate as an attendee or as a business meeting delegate. Find information and links to more detail and to the delegate application form in the weekly DUU Connection email. More information will be communicated in the coming weeks for both assemblies. And we are living our values. We are collecting nominations for 2024-25 special collections. Each year, we solicit, review, and choose nominees for a yearly lineup of local, not-for-profit organizations as a monthly special collection recipient. Find a link to the nomination form also in the weekly DUU Connection email or on the Here's What's Happening page on our church website. Please submit your nominations by the end of March. Now, if you are online, I invite you to greet each other through the chat, and if you are present here, I invite you to turn to someone you did not come with and greet them with a wave and a good morning.
I light this chalice today for the first source of our living tradition that draws from direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life.
Good morning. Welcome to this place of love, of communal flourishing. We enter this worship space to open our hearts, expand our minds, and see the sacred within each other. Come, let us worship together.
Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 1000, Morning Has Come.
Good morning. This is a service on Article 2 of the Unitarian Universalist Association's bylaws. So, yeah, in the words of Reverend Mandy, that's really gonna rock your world, huh? So you may ask, what is Article 2 and why are we doing a service on it? So the legal answer is Massachusetts general law requires bylaws of organizations incorporated in the state to define the purposes to which the funds of the corporation may be applied. So Article 2 of the Unitarian Universalist Association bylaws defines that purpose for the association. Because the UUA is an association of congregations, though, Article 2 has historically included the purpose for which congregations freely choose to be in relationship with one another through this association. In 1961, with the merger of the Unitarians and the Universalists, this purpose was a dedication to key objectives. From 1985 to today, it has been a covenant to affirm and promote a set of principles. In other words, Article 2 is where the 7 principles and the 6 sources of our faith tradition reside. Article 2 of the bylaws of the Unitarian Universalist Association contains 4 sections: a definition of the purpose of the association, the principles and the sources in their current form, an inclusion clause, and a freedom of belief clause. According to Massachusetts law, only the purpose is required. As many of you may recall from Reverend Mandy's UU history classes last fall, which you can find on our YouTube channel, Unitarianism and Universalism have both been traditions that are rooted in the idea of change. We are a tradition that adapts and transforms ourselves as new information, new thought, new ideas present themselves. Both denominations, that's the Unitarians and the Universalists, changed throughout their long history, and they changed together when they merged in 1961. And we continue to change. In 1961, when the Unitarian Universalist Association was established, Article 2 listed 6 objectives of our faith. In these original objectives are some of the roots of our current principles. For example, the first of them said, to strengthen one another in a free and disciplined search for truth as the foundation of our religious fellowship. We now have as our 4th principle the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The language of these original objectives, however, was certainly a product of their time. Consider the 6th objective: to encourage cooperation with men of goodwill in every land. Yeah, great, yeah. We are truly a living tradition, though. The women's movement in the 1970s was a catalyst for transformation. The Unitarian Universalist Women's Federation, the UUWF, worked long and hard to advocate for this inclusive language. It was actually in 1981 when the UUWF created a first draft proposal of a non-sexist version of the principles and presented it to the General Assembly, 1981. This was also at a time when there were very few women ministers. These few had been consulted by the UUWF, and their voices were heard beyond just inclusive language related to sexism. The draft principles also veered away from the Judeo-Christian language of the original, such as Objective 3, to cherish and spread the universal truth taught by the great prophets and teachers of humanity in every age and tradition, immemorially summarized in the Judeo-Christian heritage as love to God and love to man. It would be 1985 when the current version of our 7 principles and the 6 sources would be adopted. So, you may ask, why now? The better question might be, why not now? We are a religious tradition that changes. We call ourselves a living tradition for a reason. We adapt and we transform. There were only 24 years from the original objectives to the inclusive version that we have today. We have had our current version for 39 years. A lot of change has happened, but we have not evaluated our principles. In 2017, 2 proposals came from the floor at our General Assembly asking for 2 changes to the principles, even though the principles were not under review. One proposal would pass. The other would stimulate much conversation in the coming years. Additionally, many congregations began to add an 8th principle to the 7. The proposed 8th principle fully acknowledges racism and oppression and commits to dismantling it. Given the request for changes and the discussion of an 8th principle, the UUA Board of Trustees realized it was time for a review. In 2020, they appointed the Article 2 Study Commission to review this Article 2, including the principles and the sources. This commission has spent countless hours for the last 4 years speaking with Unitarian Universalists and congregations to create a draft and then to edit that draft multiple times into the current form. At General Assembly 2013, last year, delegates voted to approve the preliminary draft and continue studying the principles and sources. This draft has gone through further edits in the past several months. The current version that we will share with you today is as close to a final version as we have. June of this year, at our General Assembly, delegates will vote to approve the final version of Article 2, including a new set of principles. It is likely to pass, and if it does, our faith tradition will once again prove that it is a living tradition dedicated to embracing change to make the world more just and inclusive. Please rise as you are able or willing and join us in My Life Flows On in Endless Song.
Creation.
Our vision of beloved community is rooted in the relationships that we have with one another, our world, and creation. Each week, we offer the opportunity to share our joys and concerns. Today's flowers were given by Karen Hutt and Steve Tewald in honor of their granddaughter Clara's 5th birthday on March 11th. Happy birthday, Clara. We also send blessings to our Muslim siblings and those in our congregation who practice Ramadan. May your monthly fastings be a blessing as Ramadan starts tomorrow as well. And our hearts are with those in Israel and Palestine and all the areas of the world in which conflict exists. May we remember that violence is not the answer. Whether spoken aloud here or held in our hearts, this community cares for one another. Our pastoral ministries, our ministry members are always available to speak with anyone, to share in your joy or sorrows. And you are always welcome to make an appointment to speak with me as well. Our meditative prayer today is from this little book called With or Without Candlelight. It is from Teresa Novak, called Saved. Please join me in our meditation. Come into this place. There are healing waters here, and hands with soothing balm to ease your troubled days. Bring your wounds and aching hearts, your scars too numb to feel. Your questions and complaints are all welcome here. Rest a while. Let the warmth of this community surround you, hold you, heal you. When you feel a bit stronger, just a bit, notice those who need you. They are here, they are everywhere. Weep with them, smile with them, work with them, laugh along the way. Pass the cup, drink the holy fire, take it with you into the world. We are saved, and we save each other again, again, and yet again.
It is time to gather. Today, I'm going to share some of the contents of what everyone nowadays is referring to as Article 2, or the proposed Article 2. Now, currently, we know it as the 7 principles and 6 sources, and most people only think of it as our 7 principles because these are the values that we, as a denomination, try to promote and live out. And we have several kids' versions with easier to understand words so that they might be able to remember them easier. We have songs to help us remember the principles, and we have created various aids to try to help us remember the 7 principles, such as relating a color of the rainbow to each of the principles, starting with red, which starts with R. R for respect all people, and so on. And they help, but I still find even UU religious professionals that can't tell you all 7 principles. So one of the things that I like about the proposed Article 2 changes is that each value is related in 3 different ways: as a word, a phrase, and a covenantal statement. I like having a single word per value. Now, instead of having to remember 7 concepts, we, you, the kids, only need to memorize 7 words, which will help us remember the statement that goes along with it. And even though this is only proposed, there are UU religious educators who have already created memes to help remember the 7 words. So this mnemonic device may or may not help. Trees of justice grow everywhere, love is present. So now you have the beginning letter for each word. The tree has love at the center, and the swings are like scales of justice. However, maybe just remembering the actual 7 words would work best. So here is an acronym that was created. So meet J. Piglet. I like to refer to them as Justice Piglet. Now that you have an easy way to remember what each word starts with, we have a decent chance to remember what each word is. Justice, pluralism, interdependence, generosity, love, equity, and transformation. And always remember that love is at the center of Unitarian Universalism. But what do these words mean? What do we do with them? So, interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of all existence. Sounds like our 7th principle currently. Interdependence means everything is connected like a web. What you do affects me and others, and we need to make choices based on this understanding. Pluralism. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. And pluralism means more than one, not just one, right way. We honor diversity in thinking, and it's good that not everyone is the same. We have a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, and we can learn from others. Justice. We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. Justice means we work to dismantle systems of oppression. We support democratic ways of making decisions, and we listen to everyone. Transformation. We adapt to the changing world. Transformation means we value change and recognize that our faith is living and growing, and we can learn and try new things. Generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. Generosity means giving, sharing our spirit and our resources, connecting with other people. And equity. We declare that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. And equity means everyone has access, everyone is included, and everyone has what they need to thrive. And we will use our resources to make that happen. And then love is at the center. Let's sing to the children.
Christian
Giving of our treasure is how we reciprocate the many gifts we are given by this community. Your contribution supports the programs and operations of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church. Giving is also how we live our values into the world. Each month, we share our offerings with an organization nominated by the congregation and selected by the special offerings team. This month's special collection recipient is Riverwalk Adult Day Services, which was founded in 1983 by a group of 15 religious institutions, including DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church, who recognized the desire and the benefits for adults to age in place at home, but those adults could sometimes not be left at home alone. Riverwalk Adult Day Services has provided over 700,000 hours of service to participants, allowing their caregivers the peace of mind knowing that their loved ones are being cared for in a safe and nurturing environment. Their mission is to provide a safe, social, stimulating environment for adults in need of daytime care. The morning's offering to support the work of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church and of Riverwalk Adult Day Services is given and received in a spirit of generosity and gratitude.
I think that most of you by now know me well enough to know that I can say safely that I'm comfortable with change and discomfort, and most of you will not be surprised by that statement. But being comfortable with discomfort is a practice. It's not something that happens automatically. When I'm confronted with something new, my first reaction is not often, well, that's fantastic. I usually need to sit with something for a minute or two. The process usually begins with my whole body tensing up as if anticipating a fight. Sometimes it's as if my body knows that change means extra work, and sometimes I'm just too tired to think about work to adjust to change. It sounds exhausting, so I just want to shut it down. Sometimes I have a visceral response to all the things that could go wrong, and my mind thinks, well, that won't work. Can you relate to any of these responses to change? Yeah, I figured. It's a very human thing to be reluctant when encountering change. For me, though, my process to shift from discomfort and scarcity has been honed by years of facing and adapting to change. It's why I've become comfortable with change, because I've faced it and tried and honed a practice. Where many people need to reflect on change for hours, days, weeks, months, sometimes even years, I have a lot of practice of shifting my mindset to openness more quickly, but goodness knows I'm not perfect at it. In fact, one of my weaknesses in this practice is when too many changes come my way at one time. When I reach a change overwhelm, I want to shut down. I also struggle when change surrounds something that I deeply care about. And sometimes I'm a bit surprised about the things that I deeply care about. In our home in Oak Park, we have this beautiful antique sink in the bathroom with an original faucet. When the faucet broke, I got really upset looking for a replacement. I wanted something identical to what I had. I had no idea I had strong feelings about a bathroom faucet at all. Who knew? When I first heard about the commission to review Article 2, I was actually okay with discomfort. We are a living tradition, after all, and it fits so well with my Taoist theology of change and adaptation. But when I saw the first draft of the changes, I might have literally yelled, "What the heck?" Except it wasn't heck at all. I had two initial thoughts. The first was, don't touch our first principle. The inherent worth and dignity was one of the reasons I became a UU, and I have strong feelings about it. The second thought I had was, I finally memorized all the 7 principles, and now you are going to change them on me? What the heck? It took me several hours after the initial reading to return to them and read them again. Have any of you had a similar reaction? The original draft was very, very, very far away from the original, and I had a visceral reaction to it. It was so intense that I even struggled to trust the process and trust the people in the commission. Reactions to change are normal. It's hard to view the world in a new way. It makes us uncomfortable. It can trigger our survival mechanisms. And under these strains, we often don't react well to the people who are associated with change. This isn't just about large denominational issues like Article 2. It's also about revelations that lead us to expose systematic issues of injustice, like white supremacy culture. It also is about changes that happen in congregational life, like new staff or policy-based governance. It also happens in our daily life, like when we have to find the right faucet for your bathroom sink. We can get frustrated with the people who bring about change, not just the change itself. But my guess is that the people who bring about change have the same struggles with the change. They're just further along in the process, so they've dealt with their reactions already. The changes to Article 2 likely incite in some of you a visceral reaction. Our current principles have been around for almost 40 years. That's a long time to get used to something. For some of us, it's taken us 40 years just to memorize them. For those of you who have followed this process, you have likely seen the evolution of the drafts and have had multiple reactions. The current final draft is very different from the very first draft, and I actually like it. Though I have to also say I'm not completely happy with it, and I wouldn't be a Unitarian Universalist if I didn't disagree with someone. Or maybe I should just simply say I'm still settling into them. It's okay to fall in love with them slowly. It's okay to struggle with them too. After all, I struggled with our current versions of the 7 principles and 6 sources, even if I liked them. Our new version, there are some things I like about it. I like the words that are represented in new principles, the words that Steve shared, all 6 of them. The words themselves are truly words that I find represent Unitarian Universalism. However, the words definitely need the follow-up sentences that define them. And I personally find having both the words and those sentences can be somewhat overwhelming. It's not my preference. While I see the benefits of both, it's not my preference. Steve disagrees with me, and that's okay. With that said, the new 6 statements, which are really the new principles, are, in my opinion, the best parts of the old, with a beautiful, beautiful reflection of our liberal values. The 6 statements have a stronger theological beginning than any of our current principles. There is much richer theological language to delve into here. I also adore that each of the principles have a covenantal action statement beneath them. These are end statements, essentially, ways that we know we are succeeding in living out the principles. They're action statements on how to live them in the world. I love this, since one of my critiques of the current form is what our principles look like in action. Without the action defined, Unitarian Universalists have sometimes ignored acting on them at all. Having an end statement that explains what the principle means through our action is literally a dream come true for me. I also love that all of these principles are rooted in love at the center. We are a living tradition whose actions are founded on deeds, not creeds. And more specifically, as the scholar and activist Cornel West writes, justice is what love looks like in public. So for me, love at the center makes a heck of a lot of sense. I do wish, though, that the definition of the word love as it is written here included the word flourish. Love is such an ambiguous word sometimes. While the new draft does define the word love, I think it could be clearer, more concise. And I would love to include the word flourishing, and then maybe even some ideas of the Sikh activist Valerie Carr, who says that love is knowing a stranger is a part of me that I do not yet know. My guess is that some of you, maybe many of you, may need some time with the Article 2 final version, even those of you who have followed the process. In the coming weeks, Steve Cooper will be offering a Sunday morning adult learning opportunity to explore and discuss the proposed principles. We hope that you'll attend those and learn together what our new principles entail. The trick to change is understanding the process, and then becoming skilled in the process so we can better adapt to change when we encounter it. So that when we're so that when we are confronted by change, we don't suppress how change makes us feel. Things like discomfort, anger, sadness, frustration. Those things are okay to feel when you are confronted by change. Let yourself sit with those feelings, but don't react to them. Reacting is when conflict is created. Reacting to your feelings is how we transfer our discomfort from the issue to a person. Instead, after we sit with it, let us take a deep breath. Let the discomfort be turned into curiosity. Discomfort will make us skeptical, and that is good. It makes us ask questions and explore. Let the skepticism lead you to curiosity. Questioning makes us process things more thoroughly. Questioning moves us towards openness, and openness leads us towards possibility. When we understand the process of change, when we practice it and become comfortable with the discomfort of it, we can truly embrace what it means to be a living tradition, transforming ourselves and the world toward justice.
Please rise and embody our spirit and join us in singing hymn number 1028, The Fire of Commitment.
Let us be a living tradition, adapting to the changing times and needs to create a world that allows everyone to flourish all the time. May it be so.
Please join me as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish the light of this chalice, but not the light in our hearts. Until we meet again, may the warmth of our community carry you.